Yo, welcome to another episode of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Season 7, Episode 11. That's right, we are almost out of here for the season. We got one more episode after this next week. So be sure to like, share, subscribe, tell everybody. Follow the X-Factor Sportz Podcast on all social media platforms so you can catch the reels, behind the scenes takes, all the things that happen to create the show. But every Wednesday night, 7 p.m., you can catch the X-Factor Sportz Podcast on either YouTube or Rumble. So whichever one you got, subscribe to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. Hit that bell, get notified. Also, if you just want to hear the voice and you don't want to watch the show, you don't have time, and you're probably busy working. I know my brother, he has to work, so he usually listens to the show. You can do that also on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, anywhere that allows you to listen to podcasts. You can check us out, the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, real talk, unbiased takes. All right, so let's get into it. Of course, you know we always start with that quick news. We got a great show for y'all today. You don't want to miss it. We're going to talk NBA, who we got going to the conference finals, and we're going to figure out what the deal is with the NCAA. And the X-Factor Sportz Podcast has a couple things that'll actually fix the problems we got going on here. But let's get started with the quick news. All right. Now, things have happened this week, obviously. So Monday, we had the WNBA draft. Congrats to Paige Buckers, #1 overall pick. Everybody knew she was going to be. This was her year, national champion, finally got up in the upper echelon of UConn greats. So she's the #1 pick. The Dallas Wings got her. I'm sure Enrique Ogumawale is over the moon, ecstatic, whatever you want to call it, however, whatever superlative you want to use to describe how excited she is. And the city of Dallas, congrats to them. I think they will be the best backcourt in the WNBA in the next couple years. So be on the lookout for that. I'm excited about the WNBA season for them. So congrats to Paige. In the NBA, the play-in game started yesterday. If y'all watched last night, you had Orlando blow out the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young get pissed off, get ejected. So they got to play tomorrow in the 9-10 matchup. So Orlando gets the 7th seed in the East. Then the Warriors had the nightcap against the Grizzlies. The Warriors win. They get the 7th seed in the West. Congrats to them. We saw playoff Jimmy show his skills last night, 38 points. Then Steph put everybody to bed with the game sealing shots as he does so well. So the 7 seeds are already put in. We're going to predict who we have winning and getting to the conference finals on both sides. So I'm going to get into that here in a few. But I also want to touch on some more quick news. The last thing before we get into that is the NFL. NFL draft a week from tomorrow, and we'll be doing our season finale next week on the NFL draft, where we think players are going and what impact we think they will have on their new teams. But I wanted to touch on Travis Hunter. So he said this week, if I'm not allowed to play on both sides of the ball, I'm not playing football. All right, so for my older viewers, kind of a Bo Jackson-esque demand, right? If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would have drafted him #1, he was going to go play baseball, and he did. Eventually, he played football for the Raiders. But this is a demand, I guess you want to call it, from Travis Hunter. If a team drafts him and they don't let him play both sides of the ball, he's just not going to play football. I don't believe that. Kid's been wanting to play in the NFL his entire life. It's his dream. It's 1 week away. I don't think he's just going to up and quit his dream because the team says they won't let him play both sides of the ball. Now, what I do think it's a smart move by his representation to put that out there to kind of weed out any teams that may want to draft him that he doesn't want to go to, like a Cleveland or Jacksonville, just to name some of the teams in the top 5 that are pretty bad, the Giants maybe. But I think he's doing that to kind of weed them out. But Cleveland has already raised their hand and said, hey, whatever you want to play, my guy, you can play quarterback if you want. You can play offense and defense. We'll have some packages for you, some plays. It's all good. So that leads me to believe that next Thursday, Travis Hunter will be the presumptive #2 pick in the draft after probably Cam Ward to Tennessee. But it's a smart move, right? He's a professional athlete now. You got to start making moves and, putting things in place. So I think putting that out there in the public was designed to kind of shy teams away from picking them in the top 5 picks, right? So we'll see what happens with that. Cleveland, like I said, they said they want him. They are willing to let him play both sides, as they should. He's proven that he can do it. He's got awards on both sides of the ball in college. Kid played over 700 snaps on each side. He obviously is conditioned and in shape to do it. Not saying he needs to play 60 snaps on both sides, but there should be some packages for him, as a wide receiver, and he should play cornerback because I think cornerback is his better position personally. So he should be a full-time corner, but there should be some third down, red zone packages or some slants or something for him in the offensive game. So we'll see how creative the Cleveland Browns can get if they're the ones to draft them. All right. So that's what we got for quick news. I know last week the quick news wasn't so quick, but we just wanted to touch on those 3 topics before we dive into the NBA. All right. So let's go ahead and get into that. Now, the playoff predictions. So shout out to NBA.com. They always had the brackets up and up to date. So appreciate y'all for doing that so I can have it on the show. We already have the 7 seeds placed in. The 8 seeds aren't in yet because obviously the games are Friday. I said tomorrow, but Friday, you got the first round of games tonight. Actually, right now, the Bulls and the Heat are playing, followed by Dallas and Sacramento. And then obviously the winner of that game will play the loser of yesterday's games on Friday. So the playoffs will be determined by Friday night. And this weekend, the playoffs will start. So we got the bracket up, and I'm going to break it down on who wins what series until we get to the conference final. And then next season, in the season premiere, I'll give y'all my predictions of who I got getting to the NBA finals. All right. So let's go ahead and get it started. In the East, we're going to start there. The 1-8 matchup, it really don't matter who wins the 8th seed. They're not beating Cleveland anyway. So we're going to have Cleveland advance into the next round. All right. So we can touch on the 2-7 matchup, Boston and Orlando. Now, it's the NBA, right? So you can't just assume teams are going to get blown out, swept, whatever. But Orlando, this is not a good matchup for them. They're not a good offensive team, even though they scored over 120 points yesterday on Atlanta. Atlanta is not the Boston Celtics, defending champs. They're versatile everywhere. So I just don't think Orlando has a shot in this series. I don't think anybody believes they do. Good defensive team, not a very good offensive team. They get stalled on offense a lot of lulls. And I think Boston takes advantage of it. So I'm going to go with the Celtics winning this series in this 2-7 matchup. All right. In the 3-6 matchup, now this might be the best series in the Eastern Conference first round. The Knicks and the Pistons being the 6th seed. I could see this series going 7 games. I know the Pistons are young. I know they haven't been in the playoffs. But just their style of play against the Knicks can be effective. This is a series where Karl-Anthony Towns is going to have to be the best player in the series in order for them to win. He has to dominate this series. I'm talking about, like I've talked about in other episodes, in order for them to succeed, Karl-Anthony Towns has to dominate. He's got to be 28-15 type dominating. Like he has to have those types of games to win. The Pistons are a physical team. They play tough. I like Cade Cunningham. Like they got pieces. They're a young team. They got pieces. None of these guys have that playoff experience. Tobias Harris has it. But they will put up a fight for sure. If you let them stay in games, they will find ways to win them. They have the biggest turnaround from win-loss column of any team in the NBA. So you got to respect it. They're here for a reason. But I think this has to be Karl-Anthony Towns' series to win. If he doesn't dominate this, let me back up. If Karl-Anthony Towns dominates this series, it can be over in 5-6 games. If he doesn't, the Knicks will have to find a way to win it in 7. And a grueling series with the Pistons is not good for you going into the later rounds. So that's what I got. I got the Knicks winning it, but they can win it sooner if Cat dominates. Then in the 4-5 matchup, the Pacers and Bucks, these two teams are very familiar with each other in the same division. So I can see some familiarity. These games will be close games, but I got the Pacers winning this series. Giannis just doesn't have enough help. Do we really believe in Kyle Kuzma in the playoffs? No. I feel bad that Dame ain't playing in the playoffs with the blood clots. Hope he gets well soon, but I just don't see a path where the Bucks can actually beat the Pacers. They just got too many weapons. Giannis is going to be kind of out there by himself. So we'll see what happens with that, but I just don't know if I trust a Kyle Kuzma to help Giannis get through this series. And also, if the Milwaukee Bucks are done in the first round, there's going to be a lot of turmoil in Milwaukee. What happens next? What do we do about Doc Rivers? All right, another playoff failure, first round exit. What do we do about Dame Lillard, his health? Is Giannis going to want to stay in Milwaukee? Right? There's rumors that he may go to Miami. There's rumors that he may want to go somewhere else. He's talked about going to Chicago at certain points in his career. So what do we do about that if they get bounced in the first round? So I got the Pacers winning this round. All right. And that is the first round of the East. Then we get to the next round, the conference semifinals. The 1-4 matchup is going to be Cleveland and the Pacers. Again, two familiar teams, same division again. And the Cavs will win this series. Again, matchups. The Pacers just don't have enough. Between Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, defensively, rim protection, Evan Mobley can come out on the perimeter and defend. Donovan Mitchell can go off for 40 at any given night. I just don't think that the Pacers have enough to beat this team. And honestly, if Dame was playing and he was 100%, I would have probably picked the Bucks to win that series. But I think the Pacers get by Milwaukee. But they don't get by Cleveland. Cleveland's just too good. They've been the best team in the East, wire to wire. They're the best offensive team in the league as well. They didn't lose their defense when they lost Bickerstaff. They still kept that. Kenny Atkinson's been doing a great job, upgraded the offense. This could be a Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr type of situation, right? Where the defense was in place, but their offense just needed to be tweaked. If y'all remember 10 years ago, and now you bring in a Kenny Atkinson, maybe he tweaked the offense enough to get them over the hump. We'll see. But I got the Cavs winning this series. And the Pacers, I think they may put up a little bit of a fight. They can get 2 wins, but I don't see it going further than 6 games. And then that 2-3 matchup, Knicks in Boston. This is a rivalry from yesteryear, from the 70s and the 80s, right? The Knicks won't win this series at all. All right. In the regular season, they are 0-8 against the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference, Boston and Cleveland. They didn't beat them at all this year. So the Knicks are good. They just can't beat the upper echelon teams. I don't see that changing in the playoffs. You know, Jaylen Brown, I don't think he's 100%, but I think he's good enough to go and make this playoff run. So I got Boston winning this game. Boston has the size to match up with Karl Anthony Towns, and they got versatile wings that could defend also. So I think they just got too much firepower for the Knicks. Celtics win that series. So that's where we end up in the Eastern Conference. We get number 1 versus number 2, Cleveland Cavaliers, Boston Celtics, and we will see if the Celtics have enough in the tank to beat the Cavs and if the Cavs are good enough and ready to get to their first NBA final without LeBron James, right? Over in the West, now the West is all about matchups. I mean, anywhere you fall, you got a good series here. The 1-8 matchup, again, just like the East, I don't think OKC is going to struggle with anybody that comes out of that 8th seed. So OKC wins that. The 2-7 matchup. Okay. So what I'm talking about in the Western Conference, Vegas has the Warriors winning this series. And it may be because they beat them 3 out of 5 this year and 12 out of the last 14 games, right? Overall. But this is a different this is a different Houston Rockets team. They are excited to be in the playoffs. They've achieved a lot. Ime Udoka has these guys playing at a high level. He's a veteran coach. He's not scared of the Warriors. You got Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks. VanVleet won a title against the Warriors in 2019. Dylan Brooks has played against these guys. He's not scared of Draymond. The intimidation won't happen. I would not be surprised if somebody gets ejected in this series. There'll definitely be some technical fouls, some trash talking. But I got the Houston Rockets winning this series in an upset, according to Vegas. The Rockets win this series. They're younger. They're more athletic. And I think they're prepared to win this first round series. I think they're built to win this series against a old, injured Golden State Warriors team. Steph is not 100%. If you watched last night, that thumb, he's favoring it. It got re-aggravated. I don't know how many 38-point games you're going to get from Jimmy Butler in the playoff series against a good defensive, young, athletic team with Amen Thompson, Alfred Şengün. They got the size, the versatility, the athleticism, Jalen Green. So I don't know how much you get of that from Jimmy Butler. Draymond Green going to give you 4 points, 5 fouls, and talk trash. That ain't going to be enough to win this series. So I just think the Golden State Warriors are old. I don't know what they do with their bench. They didn't show much yesterday. They leaned too heavily on Steph Curry. And I think that's why they lose this series. If they had some other weapons that they could depend on offensively, if Jonathan Kuminga can emerge, he's had a couple DNPs late. I don't know what that does to him mentally, but I think against this Houston Rockets team, he's going to have to play. You got to have athletes on the court with an Amen Thompson and a Jared Green or Jalen Green. So we'll see, but I got the Houston Rockets winning this series, and I would not be surprised if it goes 6 games. It didn't even get to a 7. I can see them going into Golden State and getting one. So I'm going with the Rockets. Then in our 3-6 matchup, we got Lakers and Timberwolves. I want to pick the Timberwolves to win this series because I want to see Ant-Man in the playoffs. But it's hard for me to pick them when you got LeBron and Luka and how they're going to pick on Rudy Gobert. Right? Every time you see them play, every time you see Luka play against Rudy Gobert, he gets picked on the pick and roll. They got to figure that out. This is going to be a series that LeBron is going to outthink the Minnesota Timberwolves in his first round. You got to remember, JJ Redick's still a rookie coach. This is his first playoff series coaching. So I think LeBron is going to almost player coach their way through this first round of this series. If you look in the regular season, Ant-Man has struggled against the Lakers. I think his scoring average went down about 7-8 points. I think he's like 19 a game against the Lakers during the regular season. So they figured something out against him. He don't shoot very well against them. Now, the Lakers are going to force him to play small because they're going to pick on Rudy Gobert. He ain't going to be able to play as much, which means Naz Reid will have to play some 5. And I don't know if he's comfortable in that position. So I think the Lakers have the advantage that way. Again, Luke and LeBron controlling the pace, controlling the tempo. LeBron using his mind in this first round series to beat the T-Wolves. So I got the Lakers winning this series. Then the 4-5 matchup. Again, the Nuggets are the 4 seed. I got the Clippers beating them, okay? When we talk about coaching like we did in this Lakers series, LeBron will be the de facto head coach. In this Clippers-Nuggets series, it's a coaching mismatch, right? A coaching mismatch. Ty Lue against David Adelman, who's coached 7 games in his career, and now you got to go in a playoff series against a healthy Kawhi, a healthy James Harden, a seasoned veteran championship coach in Ty Lue and his coaching staff, a Vika Zubac, who can probably win most improved player in his 11th season, having the best season in his career. I don't see a path where the Denver Nuggets win this series, right? I don't think Jokic will be enough. Maybe you get playoff Jamal Murray. He seemed to go off against the other team from LA. Haven't seen him do much against the Clippers in the playoffs. I just don't think they have enough. I think them having a lack of depth will rear its ugly head, and the Clippers take this series. Now, the Nuggets are going to be in the same type of turmoil if they don't get out of this first round as Milwaukee in the East. So Their head coach is gone and Mike Malone. What do we do about this team? Are we blowing this team up? Right? Because the problem was, or the disconnect was, Mike Malone believed in his veteran players to win championships, where management wanted younger guys. Now, if they lose in this first round, is that justification to blow it up? To start getting younger guys in? The Kroenke family is real big on regenerating and retooling in all sports. I mean, they got the Colorado Avalanche, the Rams, the Nuggets, everybody. So what do they do if they lose in this first round? Do they rebuild? What do they do for Jokic, right? What do they do with the rest of these guys? So it'll be very interesting. What do they do for a coach? Does David Adelman keep the job? Or do they look elsewhere? Mike Budenholzer's available, right? Jeff Van Gundy. There's talks about Jeff Van Gundy when, the great job he's done with the Clippers and how he helped Boston win a championship last year, the defense that he implemented. Do they look to him? So it'll be a lot of questions this summer for the Nuggets, especially if they get bounced out in the first round. What do we do for Nikola Jokic and the rest of the Denver Nuggets if they get out? All right. And then in the next round, it's going to be a 1-5 matchup because I got the Clippers beating the Nuggets. But I think that's where it ends for the Clippers, right? I think OKC learns from what happened last year, and they realize that Shea needs help. So a lot of these guys will kind of expand offensively. So I feel like J-Dub will have a great series. This is why you get an Isaiah Hartenstein. You got the athleticism, the rim running, the physicality to match Ivica Zubac in this series. That'll be a great matchup. And then you allow Chet Holmgren at the 4 to stretch the floor, and he can rim protect and he can play off the ball as well. So I think OKC, the better defensive team in every category. And with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think OKC wins that series. Now, on the flip side, do we trust the Clippers or James Harden the deeper we get into the playoffs? Absolutely not. So that's another reason why I got OKC winning. I don't trust the Clippers after round one. Historically, they have not shown me that they can get to a conference final on a consistent basis. So I got to go with OKC. And also this here, a little nugget. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was let go by the Clippers after his rookie year. They didn't believe in him. They basically let him go. Any team that trades a player in their first 2 years, they don't believe in you anymore. Simple as that, right? That's just a cold game. That's how the business goes. Players don't forget those things, all right? If he gets into a second-round series with the LA Clippers with back-to-back number one seeds and a presumptive MVP, he coming out for blood, all right? I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander goes crazy if they get in that second-round matchup. He's got something to prove. You don't forget when teams quit on you, and I think he shows up in that series. So there are a lot of things that I think are on the side of OKC to beat the Clippers in the second round, so I'm going with them. Then the 2-3 matchup, Rockets-Lakers. Okay, so the last series we talked about the Rockets being young, energetic, athletic, playing against a kind of a depleted Golden State Warriors team that only depends on Steph. I think that'll be the highlight of their season, getting that first round win after all these years of rebuilding and trying to get back to a playoff. They get rewarded with a 2 seed. I think they beat Golden State, but I think the Lakers get them in this second round, right? The Lakers, on their side, LeBron is going to be the catalyst to win that first round series against Minnesota. Will he have the energy to get them through a second round? This is where I think Luka Doncic takes over and wins this series. This is something AD probably wouldn't have been able to do because he needs the ball given to him to be effective, whereas Luka has the ball in his hands. And I think this is where LeBron can kind of conserve energy on the offensive end, right? So I got Luka Doncic being the headliner in this second round matchup against the Rockets, and I think the Lakers win this series. Again, JJ Redick is going up against veteran coaches, right? Ime Udoka. It's going to be a nasty series. This may be a 7-game series, and LeBron and Luka may have to go into Houston and win a game 7. Now, ask yourself this. Who do you trust in a game 7? Do you trust the young Rockets team at home? Or do you trust Luka and LeBron and their veteran leadership to get through a game 7? And let's not forget Austin Reeves, AR, right? He's been emerging as a legit third person in this big 3. So with that being said, I can see this series going 7 games, and I can see the Lakers going into Houston and actually winning a game 7. So for that reason, I got the Lakers winning that series. Now, the Western Conference semifinal or the Western Conference finals, you get OKC Thunder and the Lakers. So there you have it. That's what we got. We got OKC and the Lakers in the West, and then I'm going to have Cleveland and Boston in the East. All right. Y'all let me know what y'all think before the playoffs even start. We make these predictions, who we got going to the conference final, just like we did in football. We got that exactly right. We got the Super Bowl prediction exactly right. Chiefs, Eagles. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Who do y'all have getting out of or going to the conference finals? Because next season in the season premiere, we're going to talk about who we got making it to the NBA final. But let me know what y'all think. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you're commenting right now in real time. We'll hit you right back, and we can have the debate, the discussion on who we think's getting to the conference finals and why. All right. So, like I said, the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. You can always catch us YouTube and Rumble every Wednesday night, and then on all the audio platforms as well. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, tell somebody to tell somebody. The X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Season 7, Episode 11. We are in Episode 83. You believe that? I've done this 83 times in front of y'all, the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. So appreciate y'all. Let's keep it going. Okay. College sports. Let's get into this. So have y'all paid attention to what's happened over the last week in college football, particularly with Tennessee football? So the quarterback, I don't want to butcher his name, so let me try to get this. Nico Iamaleava. I'm only going to say that once. So Nico, the quarterback for the Tennessee Vols, former quarterback, I should say, is entered the transfer portal. Okay. So there are a bunch of different stories, narratives out about what's going on here. Okay. The school has put out the narrative that he wanted more money and they didn't want to give it to him. They also put out the narrative that he almost didn't want to play in the college football playoff game against Ohio State for money reasons, right? Now, is this a true statement, or is the university protecting themselves and trying to tarnish the kid so when he goes out in the transfer portal, people are seeing that story? Like, all he wants is his money. He doesn't care about the team. Is that the truth or not? It remains to be seen. On the player side, the player and his representatives are saying he wanted a new look offense. He wanted the offense to kind of highlight his skill set so they won't be so staggered like they were at times last year. He gets to spring training, spring ball, and the offense is the same. So he's frustrated. And so is this a matter of I wanted to play in a better system, or if I don't get my money, I'm going elsewhere? Or is it both? I don't know. But that's the narrative floating around Tennessee. Now, the question is, whose fault is it really? Is it the coach's fault for cutting the kid or letting him go and forcing him to transfer? Or is it the player's fault for asking for money and giving the university an ultimatum? I don't think it's either one of their fault. I think it's the NCAA's fault, right? Because the NCAA steps away, and this is, quote unquote, not their jurisdiction when it comes to this type of stuff. This is still college football, right? This is still the NCAA sanctioned sport, athletics. So how is this not in your jurisdiction, for one? And two, why would you not want to govern this so it doesn't happen? Okay. A lot of things are getting lost in this transfer portal NIL situation in all sports. Okay. So this is supposed to be college students playing a sport, right? And this is turned into commodities on campus. Are these players actually student athletes, or are they just commodities that y'all have coming to school that could bounce around the country whenever they feel like it? So I blame the NCAA, right? They always throw in some new things to appease to other people, but there are no guidelines around it. It turns into the Wild West, blows up in everybody's face, and now they got to come in and overcorrect something. So until they figure out what to do or how to legislate this thing, it's only going to get worse before it gets better, right? So now Nico is out here looking to play for another team, but schools don't know which narrative to believe. He's got brothers and cousins and hang-arounds and all these people around him telling him what he should and shouldn't do. So that leaves a bad stench, right? Nobody wants to deal with all that. They want a player that actually wants to come to their university and play football, right? And be a part of the university. It's still school, and these are still kids at the end of the day. Yes, they're making money, but they're still athletes, student athletes. But if you're going to treat it like professional sports, this is what I think the NCAA should do. This is how we fix this issue, all right? So this is what needs to happen. Number one, there needs to be a collective bargaining agreement across the board for all sports in the NCAA, right? You can get a board, a commissioner for each individual sport, a board for sports, whatever you want to do. But there has to be some sort of order and some sort of collective bargaining agreement to sanction a lot of these things that are happening. These kids just jumping from school to school is ridiculous. I read that there's over 1,000 women in women's basketball in the transfer portal this year. 1,000 women? Ridiculous. That's over one student per school that's just out. If you look at Baylor basketball, their entire team is gone, whether it be graduation, going to the draft, or transferring. If you look at their roster that just played in March Madness, the entire team is gone, right? So they got to get a whole new roster. So there needs to be some sort of collective bargaining agreement where it takes care of contracts, the money, somebody governing anybody trying to leave these schools, all the above. I think they need to have that. That would eliminate a lot of these issues. All right. Number two, and I've talked about this before NIL was even a thing years ago, about kids staying at schools for a certain number of years to help recruiting, eligibility, make them student athletes, because it is college. So I've talked about this too. But now that we got NIL and transfer portal involved, this is what they should do. The second thing, contracts, right? You have to sign a contract, a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option. And the 3rd-year option can be either for the player or it can be for the coach, right? But this is how you do it. A player comes to your school. They sign a 2-year NIL deal. Whatever their valuation is, whatever you negotiate, that's their contract for 2 years. They have to honor the contract. And then in that 3rd year, they can come back and renegotiate, right? Like a professional sport would be. Honor the contract, 2 years, your 3rd year, based on your performance, awards, trophies, whatever, or lack thereof, we can renegotiate NIL. Now you can make more money. But these first 2 years don't come to me talking about I want more money. So now the Nico situation doesn't happen, because if he signs a 2-year deal, if he's in the 2nd year of his deal, he ain't got nothing to say. If he's in that 3rd year, now our representatives can come to the coach or the general manager of the team or whatever, because now we got general managers, and negotiate and discuss what this future contract will be. And if you don't want the contract, now you're free to go, because you're a free agent, essentially, right? So the contract needs to be honored both ways. Now, the penalty to that, if the player doesn't honor the contract in that 2-year window, they lose all their eligibility. They're done. All right. It's time to start making sure these kids understand the choices they make and consequences for not honoring contracts, honoring deals. If we're preparing them for the real world, that's the way the real world works. Okay. If something doesn't go your way, you can't just up and run to another school or another situation because you didn't like that place. If you sign a contract You have to honor the contract for those 2 years. If you don't, you have no more eligibility in college. You have forfeited your right. Now, in football, that's tough because you need at least 3 years to go pro. In college basketball, that may be different on the men's side, but still, 2 years, honor the deal. Now, obviously, saying that out loud, you can't do the 2-year thing with college basketball because they're one and done. So make it a 1-year deal, and then you can renegotiate your NIL if you stay, right? Those can be 1-and-1s, 1 year player option. But there has to be some sort of contractual agreement where you're staying. If you decide to stay in school, you got to stay for 2 years at the school with the contract, right? Or that NIL contract goes wherever you're going for the basketball side. Obviously, like the NBA, if you play or in the NFL, if you have a contract for basketball, college basketball, and you're a one and done, so a Cooper Flag, right? If Cooper Flag signs his 1 year or 2 year deal, and he goes to the league, then obviously the contract's null and void. He's going to the NBA, right? But for a player like a Tyrese Proctor, who stayed for 3, initially sign your 2 year deal. And then after that 2 years, if you plan on staying in college, we can renegotiate NIL for that 3rd year, or you're free to go. But if you are obligated and plan on staying, you're not a one and done, that contract should be for those players. In football, same thing. Now, on the coach's side, if the coach doesn't honor the contract, the athlete is free to go, whatever they want. You have to pay the rest. You got to buy them out, pay them the rest of their 2 year deal, but they keep their eligibility and they're eligible right away to go wherever they want. So in the situation that Nico's going through, if he had signed a 2 year deal and he's in the 3rd year of that deal and they don't want to honor the contract or whatever, he's free to go. Or if this is the 2nd year and the coach null and void the contract, he should be eligible to go wherever he wants. That's the way it should be. Make it contractual. Now these kids have a responsibility. They have to honor something. They have to commit to something. And then if you do well, you get rewarded on the next deal, just like professional sports. And if the coaches are not held accountable, then you're free to go and you keep all your eligibility. They should do it that way. All right. And then the last thing, with all this contract negotiating and all that, if you have a collective bargaining agreement in the NCAA, or you have a board of governors, whatever you want to call it, there should be agents, registered agents, representing these kids, okay? If you look at any other sport, NBA, NFL, NHL, there are registered agents that represent these players. It should be even more paramount to have registered agents for kids, right, that are 18, 19 years old, as opposed to these hang-around dudes, these yes men, telling these kids what they should do. Managers, right? Registered agents. If you are going to play a college sport, agents should be registered within the collective bargaining agreement, within the governance of the NCAA to represent players. Obviously, parents can be around because parents are going to help these young kids decide what's the best representation for them, right? So that should happen. But to just have these random dudes off the street or somebody that knew you since you was a little kid or your AAU coach be your manager is the wrong decision. So if the NCAA actually stepped in and implemented these rules, I think it will be the start of making this NIL thing a little bit better. Obviously, it'll need to be tweaked, but I think those 4 things, if we start with that, that'll change a lot in college sports, right? Get a governing body with a collective bargaining agreement. All right. A contract, 2 years. If you commit to a school, you're committed for 2 years. Honor your deal. And then that 3rd year, you have the option. Obviously, in basketball, if you're one and done, you out after 1 year, contract's over. Right? The 3rd option or the 2nd option, or no, we talk about the eligibility. And then players, if they don't honor the contract, they lose their eligibility. And if coaches don't honor it, players are free to go and keep eligibility. And then the 4th option or the 4th thing is registered agents. All right. If those things are implemented in college sports, I think it would help. I think it would show kids how to learn how to make a commitment and stick to it. It prepares them for the next level, for the less than 1% that make it to the next level. They have an education in collective bargaining. They have an education in contract negotiations. They have an agent. They can probably keep that agent as they go to the next level. Like all of these things, I feel like will tie in together. And now you're getting a better product at the next level. So y'all let me know what y'all think. The NCAA, what needs to happen so the things that are happening to Nico doesn't happen to any other players. They're still kids that need to be protected, and they shouldn't be smeared across the media for as kids that just want money. Maybe his representatives are doing all this. Maybe he just wants to play football, right? So in order to fix all that, implementing these rules in place could probably help. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Be sure to comment at the bottom and let me know, how can we fix the NCAA? Okay. Now, before we get up out of here, we always hit y'all with the 2-minute warning, and we're going to talk about servant leadership. Okay. So servant leadership is something that I was taught a long time ago, like the understanding of what that means. And everybody's heard the cliche, in order to lead, you got to learn to follow, things like that. But with servant leadership, I think I heard this years ago. It was like 2008, the Olympics. This is when Coach K was coaching the Olympics. He is a military guy, and he would bring in the military into their practices to talk to the players. And one of the episodes of the gold medal, documentary, he talked about servant leadership. And what I got out of it was the definition of leading people is the willingness to serve others, right? So when you think about leaders in your life or leaders in society, we talk about police, we talk about politicians, right? Our government. The term that's used for them is public servants, right? These are supposed to be our leaders, but they're called public servants for a reason. So when I think of leadership, I think of serving others. So ask yourself that question. If you are a leader or you aspire to be one, or you're being led by others, do you see them as public servants? Do you see them as serving others for the greater good, for the main goal? You see leaders on teams. Are the captains of these teams, are they serving the rest of the people on their team? Is our government serving the people as they're supposed to be? The elected officials are supposed to be public servants. So that's what I get out of that. If that is something you aspire to be, a leader, you can't forget the servant part of it as well, because that's what the best leaders do. The best leaders are the ones that serve others, right? And that's what makes people want to follow, right? So like I just talked about at the beginning, the best leaders were good followers before. You got to learn to be a follower to become a leader. The best leaders are the ones that serve the followers, which makes them want to follow you in the first place. All right. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Season 7, Episode 11. We are one episode away from a season finale. If you like the gear, you can always click or scan the QR code or reach out directly and let me know your size, your color, anything you need. We can get those to you. We got new screen printed shirts coming next season for the summer. So be sure to reach out to me. I'm looking forward to having everybody show out and show their X-Factor Sportz gear. All right. I want to thank y'all again for tuning in to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. We are on YouTube and Rumble every Wednesday night and on all the platforms, social media you can follow. If you want to get behind the scenes footage, you want to catch the reels and give your takes there, you can always do that at XFactorSportz with a Z. Thank y'all again. Season 7, Episode 11 of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. We are over 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, so I want to thank y'all for that. Let's get to 10K. All right, this is Jay Mondane of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast signing out. Peace.